Ladies and gentlemen, knowing your worth is not just about confidence. It is about being rooted in a deep, unshakable understanding of who you are, what you bring to the table, and what you will and will not tolerate. Too often, women are conditioned to doubt themselves, to downplay their strengths, to shrink so others can feel comfortable. But a woman who truly knows her worth walks into every room with quiet power. She doesn't need to scream it. Her presence says everything. When you know your worth, you stop seeking validation from the outside world. You no longer wait for someone to approve your dreams, your looks, or your personality. You stop chasing people who are not ready for you, and you stop begging for love that you deserve to receive freely. Knowing your worth means that even in moments of loneliness, even when the world feels like it's pushing back, you still hold your head high and walk with dignity. There is a massive difference between arrogance and self-worth. Arrogance is loud, insecure, and attention-seeking. True self-worth is calm, grounded, and steady. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need to convince. It just is. You begin to recognize your worth when you stop comparing yourself to others. When you realize that your value is not dependent on who is noticing you or who is ignoring you. It is not tied to your relationship status, your income, your weight, or your social media following. Your worth is intrinsic. It was there the day you were born, and no person or situation has the authority to strip it away. But here's the truth. People will treat you the way you treat yourself. If you tolerate disrespect, you'll be disrespected. If you constantly second-guess your own needs to make others comfortable, you'll find yourself drained and resentful. Knowing your worth means having the courage to walk away from situations that do not honor you. It means refusing to shrink just to fit someone else's expectations. It means speaking up for yourself, even if your voice shakes. It means letting go of anything that causes you to question your value. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy. You don't need to have it all figured out to deserve peace and love and success. Knowing your worth is not about pretending to be strong every day. It's about honoring your emotions, setting healthy boundaries, and choosing yourself over and over again. And sometimes, knowing your worth means being willing to be alone, rather than settling for less than you deserve. It's not easy, but the more you practice it, the more powerful you become. When you finally start operating from a place of worthiness, your whole life begins to change. You stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop explaining, you simply align. The right people, opportunities, and experiences will recognize your energy, and the ones who don't, they were never meant to walk your path in the first place. Your worth is not up for debate. It's not a question mark. It's a full sentence. Period. Setting boundaries is not about being rude or difficult. It's about honoring yourself. It's about standing up for the standards that keep your peace, protect your energy, and preserve your emotional well-being. A woman who sets boundaries is a woman who has decided that her time, her mind, and her heart are not free for anyone to misuse. She has learned sometimes the hard way that not everyone deserves access to her. Not everyone qualifies for her softness, her kindness, or her generosity. And so she draws the line, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Too many women were raised to believe that being good means being available, agreeable, and self-sacrificing. That saying yes when they want to say no makes them more lovable, more accepted. But the truth is, every time you silence your needs to meet someone else's expectations, you chip away at your own sense of value. Every time you ignore your instincts to keep the peace, you're actually creating a war inside yourself. And that's not love. That's not grace. That's not strength. That's self-abandonment, and it's not sustainable. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about teaching people how to treat you. They're about showing up with clarity, not chaos. They are acts of emotional clarity that say, I know who I am. I know what I will allow. I know what I will walk away from. And once you start living with those boundaries in place, you begin to see how much of your stress was never yours to carry in the first place. You start to breathe differently, sleep better, think clearer, because finally you are not allowing the world to intrude on your soul. There is power in being unavailable, not to punish others, but to protect yourself. You don't owe everyone a response. You don't have to answer every call, attend every event, or say yes just to avoid disappointing someone. People may call you selfish, cold, or distant, but that's often because they were benefiting from your lack of boundaries. They got used to the version of you who overgave, overstretched, and overcommitted. And when you finally start showing up for yourself instead of everyone else, that shift might threaten them. But you're not here to keep everyone comfortable. You're here to live in alignment with your truth. When you have boundaries, you no longer tolerate emotional manipulation, mixed signals, or disrespect disguised as jokes. You stop justifying bad behavior or making excuses for people who continue to show you they don't deserve to be in your life. You begin to say things like, "That doesn't work for me," or "I'm not available for this conversation," or "I need space." And guess what? That's not being mean. That's being emotionally mature. People with strong boundaries often have the healthiest relationships, not because they're rigid, but because they are clear. There is no guessing, no walking on eggshells, no confusion, just mutual respect, transparency, and the understanding that love can exist with limits. That love requires limits. You don't need to explain your boundaries to everyone. You don't need a 500-word essay to justify why you won't be attending, responding, or engaging. No is a complete sentence. And when you start using that sentence more often, you'll notice who supports your growth and who only supported your silence. Let that reveal be your guide. Boundaries are a form of self-love in action. And every time you reinforce them, you are choosing to protect your peace over pleasing others. You are choosing your healing over history. And most of all, you are choosing to be a woman of value, one who leads with self-respect, not self-sacrifice. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she realizes that if she wants something she's never had, she has to become someone she's never been. That moment is the turning point. The moment when you stop blaming, stop waiting, stop settling, and start elevating. You begin to understand that your mindset is the foundation of everything. It determines how you see yourself, how you face challenges, how you handle relationships, and how you respond to setbacks. And if you truly want to be a high-value woman, you have to become someone who refuses to stay in the same mental space year after year, repeating the same cycles, trapped in the same self-doubt. Growth requires you to rise, not just in action, but in thought. Your habits reflect your standards. You cannot want excellence while entertaining mediocrity in your daily choices. You cannot say you want peace, but keep feeding your mind with drama, distractions, and negativity. You cannot say you want to level up while keeping routines that sabotage your growth. The woman you want to be will not magically appear. She must be built, decision by decision, habit by habit, mindset shift by mindset shift. This is why your elevation is not about doing more. It's about doing better, with more intention, more clarity, and more self-respect. You must become deeply selective about what you allow into your space, your mental space, your emotional space, your physical space. That means cutting off the lazy thinking. That means being brutally honest with yourself when you've been wasting time, settling for distractions, or using excuses to avoid stepping into your next level. It's easy to scroll for hours, to complain, to blame others for why things aren't working out. But none of that leads to growth. Elevation demands responsibility. It requires you to look in the mirror and say, "This is my life. If I don't like what I see, I have the power to change it." Start with the small things. Wake up earlier. Take care of your body. Read something that stretches your mind. Speak words of faith and discipline to yourself every morning. Journal, move, plan, pray, reflect. These are not just cute habits. They are rituals of transformation. Every time you choose growth over comfort, every time you discipline yourself instead of indulging your impulses, every time you act like the woman you're becoming instead of the woman you've been, you are elevating, quietly, powerfully. You must also protect your energy by being mindful of the people you allow close to you. Not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Some people are attached to the old version of you, the one who tolerated everything, accepted breadcrumbs, and lived in survival mode. But the elevated you doesn't tolerate chaos. She doesn't seek validation. She doesn't explain her evolution. She simply moves differently. She surrounds herself with people who challenge her, not drain her. People who inspire her, not compete with her. People who speak life into her dreams, not poison them with fear or jealousy. And let's not forget the internal dialogue, that constant voice inside your head. If that voice is always criticizing you, always doubting you, always telling you you're not good enough, then you will live a life that reflects that belief. But when you elevate your mindset, that voice starts to shift. It becomes your ally. It starts saying, I am capable, I am evolving, I don't chase, I attract, I am allowed to outgrow who I was. And from that place, you make better choices, not because you're desperate to fix yourself, but because you finally realized you were never broken. You just had to rise into who you truly are. Elevation doesn't happen all at once. It's a daily decision to refuse the old story and write a new one. It's letting go of the lies you've been told about your worth and stepping into the truth of your power. It's not always glamorous, and it's rarely easy, but it is always worth it. Because every step you take in alignment with your highest self brings you closer to the life you were meant to live, a life filled with purpose, peace, power, and presence. And that's what being a high-value woman is truly about. If you want to transform your life, start by transforming your environment. Because no matter how strong your willpower is, if you keep planting your growth in toxic soil, you will continue to wither. A woman of high value understands that her surroundings are either helping her rise or holding her back. She becomes fiercely intentional about where she places her time, her energy, and her presence. She realizes that she cannot become her best self while staying in places, around people, or in mindsets that remind her of her worst self. There comes a point when comfort becomes the enemy of growth. The people you've known for years may no longer recognize you, not because you've become someone fake, but because you've started honoring the version of you that they never thought would emerge. They still want you to be the one who says yes to everything, who listens to their drama, who plays small, who laughs at jokes that cut deep. But you're not her anymore. You're evolving, and evolution makes people uncomfortable. You cannot stay in rooms where your voice is silenced, your vision is mocked, or your presence is merely tolerated. You deserve to be around people who challenge your thinking, who clap loudly when you win, and who call you higher, not drag you lower. Look around your life. Who are you spending the most time with? Do they speak life into your dreams or drain the life out of your spirit? Do they celebrate your boundaries or guilt trip you when you enforce them? Do they remind you of your power or constantly highlight your flaws? Sometimes leveling up your environment means cleaning house emotionally. That doesn't always mean cutting people off cold. It can mean redefining how much access they have to your mind, your heart, and your journey. Not everyone gets a front row seat in your life. Some people need to be moved to the balcony, and others, they don't even deserve a ticket anymore. It's not bitterness, it's boundaries. It's knowing that your future is too important to keep it surrounded by voices that make you question your path. Your physical environment matters too. The spaces you occupy daily shape your energy. Is your home a place of peace or chaos? Is your phone filled with motivation or mindless distraction? Are you spending hours in environments that suck your creativity dry? A high-value woman understands that even the atmosphere she lives in reflects how she values herself. She organizes her space, sets the tone, creates beauty, and builds sanctuary, not for anyone else, but for her own well-being. And then there's the digital environment. Social media, television, music, podcasts, these are not harmless fillers. They are voices shaping your beliefs and behaviors, whether you realize it or not. If all you consume is gossip, fear, superficiality, and noise, you will eventually reflect that in your energy. But when you begin to feed your spirit with truth, wisdom, growth, and clarity, you begin to see yourself differently. You start carrying yourself with purpose. Your standards shift, your expectations rise. You don't have time for small talk or fake connections. You crave substance, peace, and alignment. Sometimes leveling up your environment feels lonely at first. You'll lose some people, you'll feel like you're walking away from familiar places. You'll wonder if you're being too much or too different. But trust me, on the other side of that discomfort is a version of you who breathes easier, who sleeps better, who walks into rooms knowing she belongs there. That's the reward of choosing elevation over comfort. A woman of high value is not afraid to outgrow people, places, and habits that no longer reflect her future. She doesn't stay just because it's familiar. She doesn't keep peace at the cost of her own purpose. She builds an environment that nurtures her, stretches her, and prepares her for the woman she is becoming. Because she knows you cannot fly in a cage. And so she builds her sky. Everything you build in life, your confidence, your boundaries, your purpose, your relationships, rests on one core truth: you must love yourself first. Not in a cliché or superficial way, but in a deep, unshakable, unwavering way. A woman who loves herself is dangerous to anything that seeks to break her. Because when a woman truly loves herself, she becomes unavailable to anything that insults her spirit. She doesn't beg, she doesn't chase, and she doesn't shrink. She chooses herself, not once but every single day. Self-love is not just bubble baths, spa days, and affirmations, although those things can be beautiful acts of care. Real self-love is doing the hard, soul-deep work of healing the wounds you didn't cause, but are still responsible for healing. It's recognizing the patterns that keep repeating, and finally saying, "This stops with me." It's choosing to be kind to yourself, even on the days when you feel like a mess. It's showing up for yourself when no one else does, and refusing to abandon yourself just because others have. Too many women are taught to give everything to others and leave nothing for themselves. They are taught that loving yourself is selfish, that having standards makes you high maintenance, and that prioritizing your peace means you're cold or difficult. But self-love is the opposite of selfishness. It's the oxygen you need to breathe before you can help anyone else. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot keep fixing others while ignoring the parts of yourself that are still bleeding. A woman who loves herself sets boundaries not to push people away, but to protect her soul. She no longer entertains relationships that confuse her, dim her light, or make her question her worth. She doesn't need to prove herself to be loved. She doesn't perform to earn approval. She walks in rooms with the quiet understanding that she is enough, exactly as she is. She understands that love from others will always feel unstable if the love she gives to herself is conditional. Self-love shows up in how you talk to yourself when no one's listening. It's in the way you forgive yourself for your past, in the way you let go of shame and allow yourself to evolve. It's in the way you speak truth over your life, especially when doubt tries to whisper otherwise. It's in the way you nourish your body, honor your emotions, protect your time, and value your dreams. A high-value woman doesn't wait for someone else to love her properly. She models what love looks like by how she treats herself. And let's be clear, self-love isn't about thinking you're perfect. It's about knowing you are worthy even in your imperfection. It's about holding space for your flaws while still refusing to let them define you. It's about being honest with yourself when you're slipping, not to judge yourself but to realign with your truth. It's discipline, it's grace, it's compassion and accountability woven together. When you make self-love your foundation, your entire life changes. Your energy becomes magnetic. Your choices become intentional. You stop settling for half love, half effort, half respect. You stop trying to convince people to choose you. You are the choice. You are the standard. You are the one who decides what enters your life and what doesn't. Because once you start loving yourself fully, anything that doesn't feel like love, real love, becomes immediately obvious. Self-love is the beginning of everything. It's the voice that tells you to rise again after failure. It's the force that helps you say no more to cycles that once broke you. It's the light that keeps glowing even in your darkest moments. It's the reason you begin to expect more, not just from others, but from yourself. And it is the reason you will never again allow someone to make you forget your worth. There is a version of you that the world has yet to meet, a version full of fire, confidence, clarity, and strength. She is already within you, waiting patiently behind all the fear, the doubt, the hesitation, and the history that tried to convince you to play small. Stepping into your power is not about becoming someone new. It's about finally becoming who you were always meant to be. It's about waking up to the truth that you've had the power all along. You just needed to believe in it. For too long you've probably been told to dim your light, to not be too much, to not speak too loudly, want too boldly, or expect too much. You've been taught that power is dangerous, that power makes women undesirable or intimidating. But let me tell you something. Your power is not the problem. The world's discomfort with powerful women is the problem. Your job is not to make people comfortable. Your job is to own your identity, to walk boldly in your calling, and to live your life with intention and integrity. Your power is in your voice, the way you speak truth, the way you stand up for what you believe in, the way you refuse to be silenced when your heart knows it must speak. Your power is in your choices, the ability to say no without guilt, and yes without fear. It's in the way you decide to choose yourself, again and again, no matter who walks away, or who misunderstands your journey. That kind of inner strength cannot be faked. It must be cultivated through pain, patience, and personal evolution. Stepping into your power means giving yourself permission to stop hiding. Stop apologizing for your greatness. Stop second-guessing your intuition. Stop downplaying your accomplishments to make others feel comfortable. A powerful woman doesn't need to prove herself. Her presence alone speaks. She doesn't need validation because she's already accepted herself. She doesn't seek attention. She commands respect by simply being who she is. It also means facing the parts of yourself that you've tried to avoid. The insecurities, the traumas, the regrets, the doubts. Because true power is not pretending those things don't exist. True power is staring them in the face, learning from them, healing from them, and refusing to let them define you. It's about realizing that everything you've gone through, every heartbreak, every betrayal, every failure, it all gave you wisdom. It all made you stronger. You didn't just survive it. You rose from it. When you step into your power, you stop waiting for permission, waiting for the right time, waiting for someone to notice your worth. You start being the permission. You create the right time. You recognize your worth so deeply that you no longer tolerate being overlooked. You know that what you carry inside you, the intelligence, the creativity, the resilience, the vision, it's not just for you. It's meant to bless the world. And no, stepping into your power doesn't mean you'll always feel confident. There will still be days when you question yourself. That's okay. Power doesn't mean perfection. It means choosing yourself even when doubt whispers that you're not ready. It means moving forward even when fear tells you to sit still. It means trusting that you are guided, equipped, and destined for more. So you walk tall. You speak with authority. You pursue your purpose without apology. You stop playing small to make other people feel big. You stop shrinking your desires to fit into boxes you were never meant to live in. You stop settling for less when you know you were born for more. You break the rules that were written to keep you silent. You rewrite the narrative. You take your seat at the table, or better yet, build your own. Because when a woman steps into her power, she changes everything, not just for herself, but for every woman who sees her and thinks, if she can do it, maybe I can too. That's the legacy of a high-value woman. She doesn't just elevate her own life, she becomes a light for others to rise to. So let this be your reminder. You don't need to wait for anyone to crown you, validate you or rescue you. You are already enough. You are already powerful. You are already worthy. Being a woman of high value is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about choosing yourself without guilt, showing up with integrity, and rising no matter how many times life tries to knock you down. You were never meant to play small. You were never meant to live in fear of your own brilliance. You were meant to rise, to shine and to lead by example, not just for yourself, but for every woman watching you and realizing that she can do it too. Your worth is not up for debate. Your light is not up for compromise. You are not here to be invisible. You are here to be unforgettable.